Yeah, cool.
Cool. Find where it is. I'll pop the timestamp in the chat. Where's the chat gone? Chat. Gosh. Timestamp's too long. All right. Cool.
Hi.
Hello, Nicola. How are you doing?
I'm all right, thank you.
Good. Well, listen, great to see you. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Great stuff. Great stuff. Well, listen. Did you see my email about the couple of things that you need to think about, a couple of the questions that you need to perhaps have answers for? Did you see that?
I've got kind of an outline of goals. Is that the one, or did you send something else?
Yeah. Asking you specific questions about where the root cause of the problem is. I think it just helps to, I guess, get you in the right mindset for some of the questions that we're going to uncover today.
Okay.
Anyway, look, let's dive in. Let's rewind a little bit. So,
Okay. Smashed her straight out. Okay. You don't need to do it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, that's exactly what my girlfriend says to me when she gets up around like 7 and I've been up since 4:30 and I'm like, so yeah, she's like, shut the fuck up. Like, I've just come out of bed. You know what I mean? Like, so, but that aside, don't even, however big your application is, don't even mention the application. Just go straight into for all of you, never mention the application, right? You've got it in your back, they may say certain things that are like, that's, like I never buy or this or that. And so you've got objections in there that you want to uncover, but you won't want to specifically reference them. Okay. So just go straight in with greeting, chat, and then what's the biggest challenge? Yeah.
Got you. I'm a mindset coach and also the founder of Bright CX. So how's your day going so far?
Yeah.
Great energy, dude. Really good energy.
And whereabouts are you calling from?
Well, I live in Nantwich. I'm working from home at the moment, but I'm based between Chester and London.
You live in Nantwich? My God, that's where I grew up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah, indeed.
I'm not from here. I'm from Nottingham originally, but I moved up this way when I got married.
Oh, lovely. So which sort of side of Nantwich? I was near the Barony Park, over that sort of side.
I'm Wimbury.
Oh, Wimbury, or Wimberbury, as it's spelled. Why Bunbury?
Why Bunbury, yeah.
Know the area well, Well, welcome to Cheshire. That's all I can say. Does you prefer it to Nottingham, or would you prefer Nottingham area?
No, really. I mean, I go back to Nottingham quite regularly because my family is still over there. So I don't have a particular preference, I don't think. My husband would like to move somewhere and live by the sea eventually, but we're very far from the sea in all directions here, as you know.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Cheshire, yeah. Right, well, listen, we've got limited time together today, so I think the best way to move forward, I think, is if you're ready to take some notes, should we just sort of jump in?
Yeah.
Fantastic. So what I've found works best on these strategy calls is that I'm going to ask you some specific questions, which are, I guess, geared to really uncover what the root cause of some of the problems are, because sometimes we can be thinking about very surface level problems, and actually there's quite often sometimes something deep behind that. It's like peeling an onion. So we'll do that so that I can effectively diagnose what the problem is with you sort of being, I guess, heard and seen at work, because I think that was the key thing, wasn't it? The visibility at work.
Yeah.
Yes, just that. Mention it in the next question. You don't want to. Great, lovely intro. Your style is wicked, really, really cool. Don't put words in their mouth, because what someone types is very different to what someone says. And it might be very different to how they're feeling today versus when they filled in the form this morning or yesterday. Right?
Yeah.
So just ask the question straight up and get the real-time conversation about it. Because even when you say something, if I have a conversation, something happens in the business and I'll chat to my girlfriend about it. The fact that I've aired it, then it's a different conversation I will then have with Ed versus if I had the conversation first with Ed. Right. And then once I've done that, and then I go and talk to my sales manager, and this is one of the bigger challenges. I'm a big thinker, right? So I think about stuff for weeks and I throw it to my sales manager and he's like, oh, dude, I'm gonna have to think about that. I was like, yeah, no shit, dude. I've been thinking about it for hours. Like, I can't expect you to have an answer, right? So it's just thinking about it from that frame. Always get them in real time. All right.
Yeah, cool. And then if it sounds like I can help you and it sounds like we're a good fit, I'll explain what I've got here, how the process works. If it makes sense, then you can make a decision whether or not you want to be part of that. And if for whatever reason I don't think this is going to work for you, I'll go out of my way to find something that probably is the right fit. So does that sound good?
Yeah.
Fantastic. So to start off with then, so you did originally put down about sort of being like reading between the lines, being seen, being heard, not being invisible. So do you want to tell me a little bit more about the specific challenge that you're facing that surrounds that sort of idea of visibility at work?
And I think it's probably
Remind me the HVG they come in on? Or the kind of premise of the call? What would be the
Unfulfilled at work.
unfulfilled? Okay, cool. I probably still just ask that, like when it comes to being unfulfilled, and get what they get from that. Even if they've given you something in an application that is specific around being invisible or something, because you start on the bigger and you'll get what you'll get, and then you'll work your way into, then even there she's got 3 different ones, right? Being invisible, you said I think 2 others there. So we want to make sure that she's giving us what it is that we want versus us leading it in any way, so we get the best possible problem, the realest one for them, right?
Yeah.
an element of frustration that I'm in the role that I'm in, because as a PA, as an executive assistant, I was working with a boss in another company, and we had a brilliant relationship. He very much included me as part of the management team. He trusted my opinion. He allowed me to make decisions, and almost in some cases kind of tell him what needed to be done, just sort of threw work at me and said, deal with it, kind of thing.
Okay.
You find a way, or you find somebody to do it, and it happens. It was just, I'll give it to Nicola and it happens, kind of thing.
Okay.
And then he ended up leaving that company, and he went to work for the company that I work for now, and then said, come and work for me again. So I moved to that company, but it was a very different role because he was part of the management team report.
Yeah, so just see, because notice she hasn't said the problem now. It's you that said it. And it's just an awareness thing now. This for everyone. This is what happens right now. She's telling you the story about the problem that you've told her versus talking straight away about the problem. The problem at work is, and I am this. Tell me more about that. And then she'll tell you the story related to the problem. Now she's telling you the story because you told her the problem. I know I've seen the script where you get there in frustration and it's clearly coming out, but it takes 10 minutes to come out based on your scripting versus straight away. So it's like, how quickly for everyone can you get to the problem in their language and then start delving into, tell me more, why is that a problem? Okay. When you get there, it's just a little bit longer. And this is why, again, we go back to how can we shorten our calls? How can we make our discovery shorter and more concise? It's these little things that make a huge difference.
Yeah, cool.
Rather than running his own business area. And so he couldn't quite work in the same way, which was a little bit frustrating, but we made it work. And I didn't just work for him, I worked for somebody else as well who hadn't had a PA before. So I was trying to kind of teach him how to work with an assistant.
Okay.
He's since left and I've moved to a different part of the business. But in the sort of last year, I think it's become a very kind of transactional role and quite sort of basic admin focused. And you know you can do more because you have. And I think as an assistant, you go to work for somebody and you make a decision on whether or not you can work with them at the interview. And when that boss leaves, or you kind of get moved around as just a resource, and you might end up working for somebody that you probably wouldn't have chosen, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And they kind of think of you as just this thing to be fitted in. It's admin, it'll fit in anywhere. That's admin, you can do that. And it might not be what you want to do, and it might be hindering your career because you kind of stagnate, and you've got to either find a way to articulate more what you can do. But if you can't, then you're almost forced to look for another job. And it's how to kind of manage that situation. How do I sort of explain or show the bosses what you're capable of doing if they won't give you the chance, or they don't think of you like that? And even if you sort of do take on a project, it doesn't become, for example, in our investment team.
Right, so at some point you would have to interrupt her, right? And if you were to interrupt her, guys, what would you say? Put it in the chat. Based on everything you've heard up to now. Because she's just given us a load of story without any. Go on, what's our next question? If we're going to interrupt her. got no emotion to this. It's just, she's just telling a story. So we want to know how she is feeling. How is this making you feel? Bang on. Yeah. How does this make you feel? And then it's like, I'm really frustrated. Tell me more about that.
You're sitting there in a meeting and you will actually say, I could do that. And they almost ignore it and then allocate it to one of the investment team and then say the investment team are overworked or overstretched. And you go, but you have resources here that you just aren't using. Why do you not see? Why do you not see it?
Okay, yeah, I understand.
Why?
Okay, can we just go back a little bit then?
Very good.
Quite a lot to unpack there, but let's just step back just a little.
Yeah.
Back to the boss that you used to have who moved, and then you
Yeah.
sort of moved with them, and everything was sort of like going okay. That's a slightly different way of working. I think you mentioned, however, that was working okay, and then they left. So what happened? How did you feel then when he left?
Well, we kind of both left at the same time because
Again, great. You're going into the feeling, but you notice you've gone into a specific part, right? So now we've taken all the story and isolated it to one instance versus just how are you feeling about this?
Okay, got you.
Make sense?
Yeah.
It's not uncommon, like, you're trying to, because this is, you are all about root cause, right? And you said, this is where that's your solution, is root cause. I need to get into the root cause. So you're now already trying to isolate the root cause to fix it. You don't need to. You just need to understand how she's feeling about the problem. Right.
Mhm.
So this will be your challenge. I know you said like a bit of coaching. This is no different to Armand's challenge, to Adriana's challenge. It's like Cheryl's the same. But digging into that root cause, you don't need to. You don't need to diagnose where it all started. You just need to tell me about the feeling. How's it going? Tell me more about that. Okay, how long have you felt like that for? Okay, right. Make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
That's a big one for you. I don't need to diagnose the root cause where it all began with childhood trauma. Right? It doesn't need that. Right.
Mhm.
The
I've had times-
power struggle at home. She can't manage. You don't need it.
Frustrated with
You don't need it today.
was going, restructuring, downsizing quite a lot, and we had a team in the US that were taking a much more influential role in running the business that they weren't before. And so an opportunity had come up within the business for me to transfer internally, and I told him that that's what I was going to do, because we'd been quite open about being frustrated, and I knew he was looking for something else as well.
Okay.
He didn't choose to leave at the time that he did.
Okay, understood. So when that left you in this situation where obviously you're sort of not linked directly to him anymore, you're not his specific PA. So you've then got sort of, I guess, reallocated or moved, and then you mentioned about this sort of feeling very much like a resource.
Yeah.
Are you still at the same level, PAing for the same level of people, or has there been an alteration in where you sit in the hierarchy?
No, I'm still operating at the same level.
Okay.
It's just a much smaller part of the business. So I'm still working for the CEO, who's a lady, who's lovely, really lovely. She's quite chaotic, but
that's why she needs a PA.
yeah. So it's not that. It's not like a downgrade or anything. It's just, I think, as I've been talking to one of the other assistants in the business, I think it might just be a culture of the business that I'm in, that's just how they see PAs and executive assistants. And so I'm obviously thinking about and preparing for this call with you. I've been thinking a lot and narrowed it down to, quite a lot of frustration, I think.
Now we're talking about
So talk to me about this frustration then.
Yeah,
So
perfect. But notice that's it. So that's what you wanted to get to, and notice it's just taken 10 minutes to get there. Right, and now you're going to start opening up, and then your discovery would have finished at around 35 minutes, right?
Mhm.
Which
Got
wouldn't
you.
have been a really long call, which gives you more time. And I'm sure somewhere in the rest of it, you'll do a little bit more of that. It's looking for the specific, but looking for the specific on the wrong thing, right?
Mhm.
You actually want to get specific on the problem, and then it's all around just the usual questions around time, how long, what have they tried in relation to solving the feeling around it.
Mhm.
And then once you do that,
Hey,
then-
Dave.
Yes.
Sorry. So I have a lot of old ladies who, like Carl, you probably don't get women like over 60 very often, but they just want to tell their whole life story. So
Yeah.
once in a while, if you interrupt and you say, look, I appreciate you giving me like the kind of the history of it, but right now, this moment, today, what is your biggest challenge and how does that make you feel? And it almost like transports them, like they don't realize necessarily that they thought they had to give you the whole backstory, and that what you were really asking was at this one moment right now. And it kind of helps them come back to themselves a little bit, because they very much get carried away in like the story.
Mm.
Love it. Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you.
Carl,
Yeah,
what's
that
your
makes sense.
favorite interrupter for you when you're doing? Because we get a lot of chat. Like,
Mm.
yeah.
My go-to is it's actually pretty similar to what Karen just said, but I'll say something along the lines of like, I love what you just said about X because of, but what I really want to get clear on is, and just kind of use that.
Nice. Yeah.
And it's important as well to do this early on, because if not, they're going to kind of repeat their same patterns of how they're answering your questions. And so if they're kind of waffling on, giving you a bunch of information that maybe isn't as relevant, try to hop on that as early as possible to make sure that, you're leading this like in the most time efficient manner, and not just having like these, 40, 50-minute discoveries, like where they're just telling you their whole life story. And as well, another important thing to remember, which really helped change my mindset on it, because sometimes I'd be like, oh, like I feel kind of rude, cutting them off, but you're only doing it to help them like to help them like with their best interests as well, to get the information that you need to help them. So just remember, it's never rude. You're just leading the conversation in like the most effective manner.
100%. Let's jump to your transition and pitch, shall we? Let's have a little.
Things that you could potentially do or try before just thinking, stuff it, right, I'm getting another job elsewhere. Because, you've heard with the I hate the term, but, grass isn't always greener, is it? You could actually be jumping into something far, far worse. It doesn't sound like your boss is horrible.
She's not.
Idiot, a micromanager.
Maybe a little bit, but nothing that's, nothing horrendous.
No.
She's a good person. And if you have got a problem, you can go to her.
Mm.
She's quite supportive around, people having personal issues and things to deal with, because she has herself.
Mm-hmm.
So she's not a terrible boss at all. But
it's about managing her. It's about managing other people. Ultimately, you need some skills to manage up.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's exactly what you said, right? You can see where you're already over coaching. Just say nothing. No one coaches just take it all on board, and then you go and you do all your coaching after your transition. We're talking about your pillars. It's just understanding, getting awareness, no coaching, no conversation, right? It's like the questions of the conversation, no conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, Carl, I can already tell like you're a great listener, and now it's about applying that same information, but like in the best part of the call. So maybe if you have like a little notebook next to you, like jot down like the one or two really important things that you do kind of want to explain to her, but then save that for like the pre-pillars or the pillars.
Got you. Yeah.
Okay.
because the other thing is the rest of the team treat you how they see your boss treating you. And if that is in any way dismissive, which it can be sometimes, then that's, they don't put any value in you. So it's managing that whole piece of work.
Okay, got you. Right, listen, we've covered quite a lot there, and thank you for being so open. These things work a lot better if you're open around what it is that the problem is and the problem that you need to solve. As far as the strategy goes, with everything that we covered there, in order to solve, I guess, the first hurdle, which is communication, emotional intelligence perspective, a bit of perhaps NLP, we can definitely help you get there with a strategy. It's something it wouldn't take long to get you there. You'd be able to see some results quite quickly by putting a few steps in place. I mean, ultimately, the first thing is really about understanding sort of your core values, what's important to you, what you currently think about the world, the filters that you have, and then understanding what other filters people will have, understanding a bit more about emotional intelligence, which is all mindset work, really.
Okay.
So that would be very, very, very beneficial to you. And that would really give you the perspective that you need to have the confidence to take the actions that you absolutely need to take. And those actions are not sort your CV out, look for another job. Those actions are actually have a meaningful conversation with the people that you need to, so that you can build that trust and get those tasks given to you that you absolutely deserve.
Mm-hmm.
So where do you want to go from here? I mean, we've got 9 minutes left, sorry, on the call. I mean, I could go a little bit over if you can, but I'm just conscious of your time, but we've not got much longer together. So where do you want to go from here?
Great. I'm going to double check how much time she has. Like, so do you have time after this? Because then you're going to go into your pillars, and you know, you're here now. She's got an hour. If she has to stop on the hour and you start, just clarify. Are you free to go over? And you roughly know how long? Another 15 minutes over, and she'll say yes or no. If she says no, then you reschedule for a bit later.
Mhm.
It's nice. That was a nice transition. How you can help her. You kept it a little bit lighter still. You went into a bit more solution, and just we can definitely help you solve that. Do you want to talk about how the exact process?
Mhm.
Yeah, and then you can save it. I don't want to get too nitpicky on it, but yeah, it's just a straight up. Yeah, we can definitely help you get this, this, and this, and we can do it really, really quickly. I can talk you through the whole process if you like. You tell me where you want to go.
Next steps, really. You know, what happens next? How do we tackle all of these things that you've talked about? What's the process for that?
Amazing.
Well,
What a nice
the
question.
process that I take my clients through, my paid clients through, is to bring them into a one-to-one coaching program.
Right.
So the strategy really, I think you need to follow at the moment. So just putting a coaching program to one side for now is everything that I stated earlier, which is, I think,
give her the process. Don't even talk about what you need. This process. This is the process. You just start talking about the process. Cool. Here's what you're going to need. This is where you start talking about your pillars.
Mhm.
All right. Is this what you normally would do, or is it just this where you get a little bit loose, as it were?
This is just where it starts to go a little bit loose
Cool.
with the
All right,
calls.
so we
to
need
be
to
honest.
rein you in. Yeah, Mike's like, yeah, I know this. I know this ground. I'm like, yeah, we got you. I can fix this. No worries. Definitely.
To be honest, this is where it
it.
starts to really feel like
Yeah.
sales, and this is where it really sort of like makes my hairs on the back of my neck
That's it.
stand up a little bit, to be honest.
Cool. Because it isn't sales. You are just
I know.
you're just structuring how to help them. Right. So this is the process you're going to need. Okay, cool. I can take you through the process. Now, the first thing, you know how you said this, here's what you need, which I think you're going to get to. But notice that it then becomes disorganized a little bit.
Yeah.
Right. So Mike, Carl, strong on the discipline.
you need to be looking at emotional intelligence. I think you need to be looking at how to read people, understand your own true core values, and then understanding how you communicate those effectively to people so that you can use, I guess, traits to understand them so they understand you, so you can be heard and you're on that even playing field ground in the middle. That's what you basically need. So that's your strategy. They're the things that you know, if we ended the call here now, they're the things to take away and look at and research and understand those so that you can put those in place, because it's all about having a decent, meaningful conversation with your boss and others at that level to solve the problem that you have. If we were thinking about how that would be wrapped up in a coaching container, I mean, I can talk to you about my coaching plan if you want. I mean, that wasn't the intention of the call, but I can talk to you about that if you want.
I mean, I've had this. It comes up quite a lot when you're looking at sort of coaching things and how to work through issues and stuff around this personal values piece. And I think,
Carl, I don't know if you've gone through it. Yeah, I'm gonna put it in the chat. Go through in the sales resources. There's how to transition and your high level promise. All right, I'll just put that there.
Okay, cool.
Okay. It gives you that structure, and then you're into pillars.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
although I feel like I know what my values are, I don't know if somebody said to me, write them down, if I wouldn't be able to write them down without writing an essay about it. So I wonder whether that's kind of a starting point.
Well, let me talk to you. I mean, the coaching plan that I have has got 3 pillars. It's got 3 main areas. Pillar 1 is values. So that's really about understanding, being massively clear on your values, because we're not taught this yet at school.
Cool. Amazing. Right. This is great. You've already given her the strategy, but notice what you're going to need. So never talk about the program. You just talk about, based on what you've told me, this is what you need. The first step of what you need. So it's not my program has 3 pillars. The first step to what you need is values, right? And then you said what you said before, like, you know how you don't feel this and that aligned, blah, blah, blah. right, this is exactly what we need to look at, and that's the first step, right? So that you can get things you want. Sound good?
Yep. So refer to steps. Don't actually refer to it as
First,
the
the
program.
steps, no program. It's you're
Three-step
just
method.
building out process and steps. Yeah.
Or uni. We are not taught how to design our purpose for life, define what our core values are. We just think things are important to us,
Yeah.
but we don't know how to unlock those and get to those. So this pillar is all about getting really super clear on what really matters to you, your core values. And the reason that we need that is because without that,
great.
if you don't understand why you want
Nice
something, it's
emphasis
gonna
on
mean to you,
reason.
you can't really decide what your ideal life is.
Yeah,
Mm.
bang on.
And if you don't know what your ideal life is, what is the point in wasting time chasing
100%.
things that aren't going to give you what your ideal life is? So this is why
So this is why we start here. This is why that's the first step. Does that make sense? Great. Yes, bang on. Right. So you're hitting it really, really well. Right. Just a little bit more structure around it, and this is great. Right.
Cool.
Are these your 3 pillars, or is this just adapted in this conversation?
No, these are the scripted 3 pillars. It took
Okay.
a while to get to them, but they
Nice.
are the scripted 3 pillars.
Yeah. Cool. Okay.
the coaching plan, the first pillar
I
that
think,
I
because with you working one-to-one, you can adapt it a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
is looking at values. And then and teaching you how to uncover your values and teaching you how to really pick away at why and things mean something to you, where that comes from, where in your belief system that sits, and what is it that's stopping you then doing the things you need to do in order to get those. And that then feeds into pillar 2, really. And the second focus then within.
Great. Stop after pillar 1. Does that make sense? What questions you have on that specifically? Make sure that's in your script, right?
Right. Yeah.
Bang on. After every pillar. Remember, it's like, how you told me earlier, explain the pillar, what that means is, so therefore, right? Why this is so great is, what questions you have on that. Done. Great. So the next step in the process, once you've done that, the next thing we look at is, what's pillar number 2?
Removing barriers.
Barriers.
Cool.
So you may have heard of the term limiting beliefs, belief system, things like that. You may not, but ultimately, to put it into plain English, even knowing what you want and what floats your boat is not enough, because you will have things that hold you back. You'll have beliefs in your belief system. You'll have things that have been instilled into you as a child. You can't do this. You don't do that. This is not for you. You are no good at this. All of these things from a mindset perspective that's been programmed into you needs revalidating. It needs looking at again. So the next part of the program is to look at barriers. So identifying your blockers, your limiting beliefs, looking at your fears, your negative mindset, and guiding you on a journey really from a fixed mindset, thinking that this is how the world is currently and this is my part in it, to actually understanding what a growth mindset means and understand actually what the universe has planned for you potentially.
Really nice. You can probably make that a little bit more personal to stuff that she said earlier, because she would have at some point demonstrated some of that. How you said this, so this will tackle that specifically. So you can just make it a little bit more personal. All right.
Yeah. Is nothing like the road that you're on at the moment.
Really well delivered. I can see that you've worked on these really hard. This is really clear, but just again, it's just mapping it a little bit more smoothly. It's really good.
Yes.
And helps you get those values. So that then leads me to the final pillar in my program, which is then
Just going to repeat it just the same. So then again, the same thing. Does that make sense? What questions you have on that specifically? Yeah, no, that's great. I can see. Yeah, and then she'll say, okay, cool. And then the final thing is great. Then we look at this.
Yeah, got you.
around taking action. Because again, it's great knowing, first of all, what's important. It's then great knowing what you've got to do to overcome it. But action, that's the bloody hard one. Somebody who's scared of getting on a plane, just saying to them, well, you're scared of getting on a plane because, you watch too many plane crash movies as a kid. What you really need to do is get on the plane. That's not going to solve their fear of getting on a plane. Unpicking it and understanding the true actions they need to take, holding them to account, because that is the thing. That's the success that people have with everything. That's the key thing. It's the stepping out of your comfort zone and doing the things that are uncomfortable, but having someone that's got your back and is egging you on to do those things and holding you to account, gently forcing you to do those things that you don't really want to do, but that you bloody well have to do. So it's values, then it's barriers, and then it's action. So they're the 3 core pillars that I work with clients on.
So even there, so you can get opposite of the frustrated job, so that you can be thing that she wants, right?
Yeah. So bring it back round to the things that she was saying and put those back in at the end to summarize.
Yeah, I mean, I use things like, put the words like benefit, outcome in your script in brackets, or I put underlines where I've got to fill in the thing that they want to say.
Yeah.
you know, as in like just straight up lines with nothing in it. So it's like, I've got to fill in the blank so you can get the enjoyment out of work that you're currently not getting, so that you can go to work and feel valued, so you can whatever it is.
Got you.
And to be honest, it's very aligned really for what I think you need to, I guess the challenge that you need to overcome. I mean, the understanding around the gaps of how do you read somebody, how do you say the right thing to them to get them to listen to you, to give that work that you want. That's understanding, you know, people better, the emotional intelligence, but you need to validate that they are the things that you want. Are you in the right job? You may think you're in the right job, but are you in the right job? Does it?
I have had that thought.
Does it follow your core values? I mean, if I was to ask you right now, I know you said that it's really hard to understand what your core values are. What's the thing that makes you most happy in life?
Here now we're coaching again, right? Yeah, you can see that. Like, and it's, you know, I get it because you're really passionate, and that's great. The passion has come across. She's loving it. Now we're about to take her into a whole coaching thing, potentially, right? Deflect away from let's solve the problem that you have, and here's how, and then we'll do this. This is what she's going to pay you to do, right?
Yeah.
If you give her this now, she'll be like, oh yeah, I feel great, thanks, and then she won't ever do it, and she'll still be stuck on her job, and it's actually doing them a disservice, right? So great enthusiasm through your pillars. The framework's there. We can just tighten that a little bit, and no coaching allowed. Yeah. If I love the excitement, that's really, really passionate, energetic, and very clear to understand.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
But and that's the thing that makes me also question whether or not it's the right job, because when I'm looking for a job, I'm thinking about wanting things that either have some kind of social conscience or social value, or things that I will personally find interesting. So I started off working in the NHS and did various healthcare type admin roles, and then sort of drifted into cosmetic surgery and cosmetic surgery sales because it was kind of interesting and it was all quite new stuff at the time, but left because it was so vacuous. And you know, the sort of the businesses that I've worked for have been businesses that have wanted to do something to sort of make the world a better place, just not make money, not just to make money. And so I think half the problem I have when I'm looking at the job market and seeing jobs with, you know, some kind of, you know, money management type thing, I think that's not going to make the world better. Somebody's just making money out of this, and that doesn't make money for the little man kind of thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, social housing feels like it's doing something good, solving some of the problems, you know, that exist in society. And those are the kind of things that float my boat. But maybe being an assistant in one of these companies isn't the right thing. Maybe it's something else.
Maybe it is.
Kind of really be changing jobs and careers at this time in my life.
Well, but is that not just a barrier? Are you not? I mean, if you actually found something and you realised what you truly, really wanted that floated your boat, and then all of a sudden you're telling yourself, "But I can't change. At my age, I can't change careers." And yes, you can. These are limiting beliefs that you.
And if somebody else said that to me, I'd go, "Don't talk shite. Of course you can."
Well, there you go. But look, we're our worst critic. We're our own worst critic, and we are least likely to listen to our own advice. Which again is why it's good to have an accountability buddy that's saying, "Well, no, you actually do need to do this shit now. Stop playing. If you want this to be, you actually do need to do this." Right.
Okay.
How in alignment do you think? I mean, I talked about that, you know, the 3 pillars there really in the coaching plan that I have. How in alignment do you feel that is with something that you potentially need and would remedy your problems for you?
I think it's very much what I need to think about, particularly the values piece, because I think that's the kind of bit that I always sort of go,
really nice.
I kind of know internally. So let's just move on to the action bit. And I know I'm a bit like that. I'm like, let's just get done. Let's just get things done. This needs to happen. Let's go. And I have these moments, you know, where I'll sit and sort of think about, well, maybe I need to think, you know, anyway, I just need to get on with stuff.
But we need to make sure our purpose is in alignment first.
Yeah.
Really, we have to know our vision, our purpose, and we have to understand what we're doing. I mean, look, we don't have many years, do we? We don't get time back. We don't have many years on this wonderful earth, and we need to be making sure that we're doing the right things that bring us joy and bring joy to others around us. And at the end of the day, if you're wasting time doing things that are not in alignment with your goals, it doesn't matter how much you search for it, you will not get fulfillment. Because it's not aligned with your purpose. It's not aligned with what you want out of life. So listen, I think this would be, I do think this would be really good for you. I think you'd find out a tremendous amount about yourself.
Yeah.
And not least of which, you would absolutely solve the issues or the confusion that you have at the moment over how do I make where I work, which I believe currently is the right place, how do I make it the right situation where I'm getting that exciting, challenging work that I want from my boss, and I've got the trust from her peers, they can also provide me that challenging, rewarding work as well. So I think that'd be perfect. So where do you want to go from here?
Get that temp check. Don't bottle it. Right? Because no,
I know, I didn't get the figure.
you sold her, right? You were like, you're gonna love it, it's gonna be great, and you got agreement. But like, so yeah, where do you feel like you are on alignment on a scale of 1 to 10?
Yeah.
Right.
Need to find out what needs to happen, when it needs to happen, and how much it might cost.
Well, I can talk to you about the investment.
Yeah.
But before I do, let me sort of talk to you about how it works.
Okay.
So I'm
Very
talking
nice.
about the 3 pillars.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So what happens is I sort of take an investment into the program, and then that allows me to get you set up. And what does that mean? Well, that means that you then have my one-to-one support. This is not a group or live coaching. This is a one-to-one dedicated coaching, and it's for 3 months.
Okay.
So the delivery of the service is it's an initial 2-hour breakthrough session. Okay, it'll be over Zoom, much like this, where we'll explore further. We've already got the bedrock there anyway, so we just need to now just explore a little bit further. And then that will allow us to then spend the next 3 sessions after that sitting within that same zone, which is that value zone, that value pillar. Okay. Then there will be another 4 sessions, which will focus on your barriers. And then the final sessions will focus on actions. Now, the final sessions, there will be actions to get to where you want to be with your design for life. But after every single session, you will still have actions as well. Okay, so that accountability is there. Now, within the program itself, so in essence, that's a 12-session program. So initial 2-hour and 11 1-hour sessions after that. And it works better if it's done on a weekly basis.
Okay.
It works really well if it's done on a weekly basis. Some clients prefer that to be spaced out a bit more. Some clients prefer to do it every couple of weeks and do a 2-hour session instead, which is absolutely fine. You will get access to an online portal, which is a secure portal where all of your recordings of your sessions go. Any resources that I share with you, any notes that you have from the sessions, notes that I have from the sessions, it all goes into the secure portal against each week, each one of your sessions, and you have access to that.
This is really clear, man. Really clear.
So you can always refer back to that.
Right.
So you can manage your sessions from there. You can store session notes, ask questions, look at the downloadable resources, and review all the recordings.
Okay.
Now, with the program, just to be clear, I mean, this is not for the faint-hearted. So if you don't like being pushed to do things that you feel uncomfortable about, this is not for you. You're going to be challenged. You're going to be asked questions no one else has probably asked you. You're going to really dig deep for answers like you have today, but even more so. And it's going to feel pretty uncomfortable at first because we'll be delving into parts of your values, your core values, your belief system. And we don't visit that area very much. And sometimes it can be a bit painful. Sometimes it can bring back memories or bring back things to do with childhood. Okay, this isn't therapy. This isn't therapy, but sometimes it can take you to that place that's uncomfortable. And that's why people ignore going there. And that's why it's so important that people do visit there.
Yeah, and that is kind of a dilemma that I'm
like, what's missing at the end of that?
I don't know.
Are you giving her the strength of like what she's going to go through? Anyone? What could we like? What needs?
So when you said earlier, maybe.
Who said that? Hueda? You said, go on.
So I was just. Is it so when you said earlier, blah blah blah, it would fix this, or
just? I think Hueda's saying benefit.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying also the temp check as well.
Yeah, he toyed with it. Didn't go in for the number. So he did that part, but he missed out the temp check. You're right. But just at this point, if you're going to say such great things, you've got to be benefit. So you get this. So that means that we can move you, right? Do you feel like you need to go into this session, Carl? Like I wouldn't probably. You don't need to potentially scare them. I know there's an element to. You want to lay the right foundations for the right people, so you don't get people that come in and shit the bed. But at the same time, you can do that. You do that in your first breakthrough session anyway. It's 1-to-1. It's 2 hours. It's all framed. You take them. You handhold them. You don't need to do that here. Do it before you do your breakthrough session. Like in that, you must do a load of pre-framing, warm them up, all that stuff. Yeah, so you don't need to do it here necessarily.
Okay, yeah, makes
So
sense.
it's got to sound easy.
So don't scare the shit out of them.
Don't scare the shit out of them, basically. Yeah. And if you are going to say things like that, it means you can get this. You do that. So once you do that, it means that in the past, this will never occur again. So that anytime that happens in the future, you won't have the same trigger response that you had in the past. How cool is that? Amazing. Right. So now we're selling when we're doing those kind of conversations versus an objection, etc., etc.
Got you. Yeah.
Carl, you just jump when you need to, buddy.
is whether or not there needs to be an element of therapy before doing something like this, or whether
So now notice you're opening up with that. You've invited an objection, right? Through that. So it's interesting to see it, right? So where did the objections come from? I initiated them. Amazing. I overcooked it, and then she has an objection, or not even objection, but you create the things you say, create the thoughts they have. So if you don't say it, they don't have the thought. So you are in complete control about where the conversation goes. Right.
Yeah.
would be enough.
When it comes to therapy, I mean, first of all, I'm mental health first aider, I'm mental health trained. So I'm aware of issues that can, I mean, it's one of the things I thought as a responsible coach, I should absolutely be aware of different mental illnesses, know the symptoms, know the causes, know the triggers, so that I can avoid those triggers in coaching. With coaching, we don't work too much on the past, we work more on the present and the future. Therapy tends to work specifically on the past and how to look at those particular situations. One of my previous coaches, in fact, I mentioned her in the guide that you downloaded, Samantha, when I first engaged with her, she was going through marriage counselling because she'd split up with her husband and just literally got back, but still thought he was, excuse my language, a knobhead, and she hated him, even though he was back, but he was back for the kids. She'd also had years of therapy for anxiety.
Nice.
She would catastrophize literally.
Nice usage of a testimonial, like an example. Yeah. Carl, just checking, you good on time, buddy?
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I went Carl Lancaster. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'm good on time. I wanted to ask, this Nadia still here? Is what time is your call coming up? You said you had a follow-up call afterwards, Nadia?
Nadia. Good question.
Paging Nadia Fairlam. Paging Nadia, are you available?
I'm here. Sorry about that.
What-
Carl, what was the question you asked? I heard part of it.
About your follow-up, Carl wants to make sure that you're not going to not get the question answered.
Great, thank you.
What time is, well, yeah, what time is the follow? Is it like at the end of this hour, or is it?
It's a half an hour after we close, so it's an hour from now is my follow-up call.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, we'll get into that here in a second. But there is one thing while we're paused, Carl, that I wanna get across to you, because I always think, when we're reviewing our calls, everyone, it's like there's multiple things that we can improve on, but it's just as easiest to kind of have like one key thing to really focus on your next call, so you're not trying to think of 10 different things here. And I think for you, like, dude, your energy is amazing, as well as like your listening skills. Like, you can tell you really care about these people. And I think you can use that to your advantage, because we need to have 100% conviction in our offer. And you mentioned before, like, we've all dealt with it before we get to that point where it's like, ooh, like, do I feel a little bit salesy here? But I think for you, man, like, the two things I want you to take away is like 100% is just simply like, aside from that great energy, that listening, just get a little bit more of that structure. And then aside from that, like you definitely don't need to be asking as much like, hey, where do you want to go next? Like, the only time I ever actually use that is after I do the temp check, and I'll just simply kind of throw it out there like, hey, so like, if you're feeling good, 9 out of 10, I'll be more than happy to go over with you the next steps as well as the investment, but you let me know where you want to go from there. But aside from that, man, like, they're on this call with you for a reason. And after you go through discovery, you uncover that, yes, there is something that you can help them with. The only other option for them then is do it on their own or go with you. And and as you know better than I do, they're so much better in your own hands. And once again, you can tell that you really care about what these people are going through. Like, you're relaying back to them what they're telling you. 99% of other people in their life probably aren't even like giving them that level of attention. So have that 100% conviction in your offer, right? Once you assess after discovery, right, is there something I can help them with? Then you're holding their hand, you're leading them through the rest of this call and giving it to them. All right, this is what we need in the 3 pillars. This is what we're doing next. This is what we're doing next. And just have that 100% certainty in your offer, because you can tell you really care about these people. And once again, they're so much better off working with you than trying to figure this out themselves, being stuck where they probably have been for years.
Got you. Yeah.
Those are the two things I want to leave you with, man, that structure, but then as well here, the 100% certainty in your offer after you've gone through discovery. All right, is this something I can help them with? And then if there is, your only other job left in the call is to make that pathway as clear as possible to getting the solution that they need with you.
I like that. Make the pathway clear. Love it.
Mhm.
Nice one, dude. Good job.
Cheers.
Carl, you can jump if you need, Lancaster, if you need.
Oh, no, I'm
Relationship
good still. I don't have
constantly,
a
therapy
thought
for
for
that.
you.
She stopped both within about 2 or 3 weeks of coaching because she realized that they were focusing on the wrong thing and they kept, I guess, revisiting the pain
Gonna pump through
rather
a bit
than
more.
look at the coping mechanism for how she moved it forward. By the time I finished with her, she was in a completely different job. She was really fulfilled. She said the relationship with her husband was the best she'd ever had, and she was then traveling all
This
over
is
the world.
really
doing
good.
all the things that she
Really
had done
good.
prior to that, and was massively anxious, thinking that the plane was going to crash and the kids were going to die on the plane and stuff. So, I mean, I'm not trying to compare this coaching to therapy. I think they are completely different tools, completely different jobs. And I think to put your mind at ease, yes, when you're taking somebody through their core beliefs, and you're taking somebody through their belief system, there will be, I guess, we'll start to pick up the surface of perhaps things that have caused discomfort in the past, but we very quickly establish that with the coaching and move away from that and move on to the mechanisms for what's going to happen going forward. So anybody who says that they're either in therapy or says that they may potentially prefer some therapy or some help prior to coaching, I would almost say that, well, actually, I think what you need to understand is yourself, your belief system, where your specific problems are that you might need therapy for, do the coaching first, and then go to the therapist with, these are the problems that I've got in these particular areas, rather than the other way around. But it's each to their own. But that's certainly what I've found myself through my own adversities that I've been through, some of the clients that I've had and taken through similar situations, and from a training on both coaching and mental health. It's normally they deal with the more surface level stuff first, start digging at some of the deeper stuff. But as soon as you start getting into the deeper psychological stuff and psychological wounds and scars, that's then when you determine that, well, that's the thing for therapy or CBT or something like that. But it's better to have clarity what those things are. I mean, let's say you take your car to a garage and say it just keeps breaking down. I would much rather know that, well, it's breaking down to not put petrol in, or it's breaking down to not change the oil recently. To be specific with that, you can then go out there, climb into the world and potentially fix that problem yourself. You know what I mean? So actually, the clarity of understanding will give you the right tools to use the correct processes to overcome any issues that you have. But I think I would say coaching first, therapy after, if needed. And I would say probably not.
Jump to investment.
Entrepreneur yourself, whether that's moving into a senior position yourself, because it's not a huge jump, is it, from an EA to move into a senior position?
I don't think so. There are a lot of people that do.
The people who do are thinking of you as an admin person,
Yeah, exactly.
not valuing you for the person and the skills and stuff that you have.
Yeah.
And again, it's about how do you communicate that to them. Anyway, look, I'm going to stop talking because I feel like I've done so much talking. But where are you at? Where are you at with it? Does it sound something that you'd like to invest for?
It does. And I guess it depends on what the cost is really, because my husband is not working at the moment, and I would potentially be thinking about asking the business to contribute to it, depending on what it costs, and whether or not they would do that, I don't know. But I definitely think it's something that I need to give serious thought to, and even if it's not something I can do immediately in the next couple of months, I've dithered around this for so long. I need to take some action.
Yeah, and I think the time is now to take action. I mean, that realization, that clarity that you have around the fact you need to take action, you need to keep that forefront in your mind and not persuade yourself, oh, it'll be okay. Because it's not going to be okay, is it? It's going to put some again. So, well, I'll cut straight to the chase. The investment for the 3-month program with all the secure access, the sessions with me over 3 months, 1-to-1, is 2,600. So 2,600.
Okay. It's not as much as I expected.
Well, in that case, there's no reason why you shouldn't sign up right now. What I was also going to say was, for some clients in certain situations, I am more than happy to split that over 3. So rather than that just being upfront, I'm more than happy.
Yeah, don't have to go there just yet. Great pitch. Just shut up. That's it. Yeah, she's already said it's not that great. I love it. Cool. Let's just do it then. Amazing. But then we just stay silent. You don't need to split it over 3. She might just be able to pay that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Split that over 3 months. So
Okay.
that would be what is it, 8, 6, 6, 6, 7 or something like that. And to give you some reassurance, I mean, there is a 30-day, 100% satisfaction guarantee. Okay, so within 30 days,
I know, I get it.
And there's
Talking about money,
guarantees. Guarantees are in the back pocket. You don't need guarantees either. Like, guarantees are never mentioned unless it's like they're terrified. And even then, like,
Yeah.
And the ed contract says if you're unhappy after 7 days, too bad. So
first month, by the time you get to that end of that first pillar, values, if you feel this is not taking you where it needs to be taking you, you can say at that point, I just want money back and we'll just walk away. And that is absolutely fine. I will fully refund anything that you have paid to that point.
Okay.
So if you selected the 3-month option and you're paying monthly and you've paid 8, 6, 6, or 6, 7, or whatever the exact value is,
They love
quicker than me,
Honestly.
you would get that back. If you paid the 2,600 straight up front, you would get that back.
Okay.
No questions asked. Now, no clients ever asked for that. I am that confident that I am just prepared to give people their money back if it's not working for them, because I know this will, and I will only select and discuss.
I love how you position yourself. Really, really strong. Really strong. It just needs a bit more, tiny bit of structure, and you're in. Right. But yeah, remember, it's just price drop and shut up. Right, we're good.
Yeah.
but again, what's great about this is the certainty, as Carl was saying. You are like so certain, so confident. She's so bought in. Right.
specific clients anyway who fit what it is that I can help them fix, if you know what I mean. So they're the options. There's the 2,600 upfront for that 3-month plan, or splitting that into 3 monthly payments. Both carry that 30-day, no questions asked guarantee.
Okay.
How does that sound?
Yeah, that sounds good. So leave it with me. I will speak to the boss, see what she says, and if the answer is no, give some consideration to how I can make this work.
So if she says no, what then do you think would be your options, or where would that leave you? So how far off would that leave you from where it needs to be, assuming you need to get to sort of like 866 for month 1? How far off would that leave you?
I could cover month 1.
Mhm.
And then I need to think. I know off the top of my head I could cover month 1.
And what difference do you think month 1 alone would make to you?
It would make a big difference. I'm pretty sure just having a sense around that whole values piece would make a difference. But I'm not somebody that likes to start these things and not kind of see it through, because I don't.
Yeah, totally.
Although there would be benefit in it.
I mean, I'm not suggesting you do just month 1.
Have you been through the financial objections yet?
No, haven't got to them yet.
Oh, good. I won't teach it to you now. I'm not sure I really want to overcook off the back of what you've just done. What you've done is amazing, dude. I go back over this call a few times and just refine your script to it. You know, the bigger objection handling framework you want for this is like when she says, great, leave it with me and let me go talk to my bosses. And you ask the really great questions. What happens if they say no? What are you going to do? Right. Great question. Just need to pace it beforehand. Like, cool. So is it just them, or how do you feel? You know, them aside, how do you feel about the process? It's definitely what you want to do. Great. Cool. So you're not in a should I do this place going back and forth. It's like you're 100% in. It's just a matter of the finances, and then you could have just gone straight into the financial objections. So let's just understand where you are, so we can get started. You know, the last thing I want to do is that if you're going to do it anyway, let's get it done. Let's see if we can't get it done.
Got you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you've left it with a follow-up, I'm going to assume. Again, that's when you could have taken a deposit while she waits and stuff like that, which again,
I tried to get a deposit offer as well, but she wasn't up for that either.
Yeah, cool. And again, it comes from a bit of pacing. The deposits, you get a deposit based on how you frame that whole conversation. But you're doing well here. And what is the follow-up with her?
So the follow-up is, well, it's on the 2nd. That's after she's had a meeting with the boss to see whether she can fund it. And if she can't get it funded through work, then it's a chat to talk about what we can do, splitting it and get her invested straight away so we can get her up and running.
Amazing.
So it's deferred. But to be honest, other calls that I've had like this, when they've gone away, they've never really come back. And that's the thing.
For sure. Like, yeah, we used to, you know, when you are putting it in the hands of a decision maker, the sense of urgency drops. So you've got to make sure that you're sort of keeping in touch with her and helping her with the next stages. Like, so has she got the meeting? When's she going to have that? How does she feel about having that conversation? Right. This is kind of how you would pace the next part of this call. If that was what was going to happen and she has or hasn't given you a deposit, you're still pacing that whole conversation. Right. So you are getting back to leadership and in control of it. So how are you going to have that conversation? Bear in mind, she's having a conversation with a boss to pay for something about how much she's hating her job, pretty much. Right. So it's that's kind of what she's going about. So then, which kind of leads to anyone that's doing follow-up, you are leading. How does that conversation go? No different. She's going to go away, talk to her husband. She's going to go talk to her partner. She's going to, whatever they decide to do, we are then in control of how that looks, what that's going to be like. How is that conversation going to go? When is that conversation? Then you're like, how did it go? Let me know if you need me. I'm here for you in between. So you're constantly with them the whole way through until the point where you know what's happening next, whether it be it didn't work or it did work or I changed my mind. You're as close to it as you can possibly be the whole way through.
Got you. Yeah. I've sent a detail over, but yeah, I think they're touching base with her a couple of times between now and then. Is there anything else you need? Do you need any guidance?
Yeah, I remember back in the when we used to do a leadership program, and then some people get it sponsored. So I end up putting together a document, you know, like a really professional, like how it looked and why it was good, the benefit, the actions. So it's because she's got to sell it to her boss that the boss is going to get something out of it, which is obviously her sticking around and enjoying her job. So it becomes a different sales pitch. right?
Yeah,
So-
I'll check in with her again. Yeah,
Yeah.
makes sense.
And then just keep nurturing her from the moment you finish that conversation.
Mhm.
Right. Right. So you know when is that meeting?
So I'm catching up with her again at 4 o'clock on the 2nd of August. She's got the meeting with the boss at 3 o'clock on the 1st of August.
Okay, cool. Between now and even up to when was this call yesterday? What day is it?
This was Friday.
Friday. Okay. And what have you done since? Have you messaged her off the back of that call? Just thinking.
Yeah, she's had a follow-up email. She had towards the end of this, she asks for a breakdown of what's included in the package and everything and the costing options. So that email's gone out to her. I've texted her as well and made sure that she's got it. She has, she's confirmed she's got everything she needs. But again, I don't just want to leave radio silent. So I want to check in again.
How's this week been going? Yeah, based on something specific that she said today. This guy's had to do follow-up, right? She said something about how work has been, how she's been feeling. How have you been feeling this week off some of the things that we talked about? How does it, do you feel better now knowing that you've got that conversation lined up, or are you a little bit nervous? Just whatever it is that you feel is the right thing based on the conversation that you had in the first 40 minutes, relevant to how she's feeling at work. Because that's why she came on the call, right? Frustrated with work.
Yeah.
Now it's Tuesday. How's she feeling Wednesday? Right.
Got you. Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Anyone that's had a job, when you hand your notice in, you sit there, it's like that period before you hand your notice in, and then once you have handed it in and you're sitting there working, you're like, fuck, I just don't want to be here. Yeah, or I just, it's that excitement, nervousness about handing it in when you do want to tell them, and how's that going to be? And based on, I hate my boss, can't wait to do it, versus, no, I really like my boss, this is going to suck, I really don't want to let down kind of vibe. So however that conversation is for them, you're then mapping your whole journey through the follow-up process.
Got you. No, that's yeah, makes sense. And thank you for all the really valuable feedback, well, from you and Kyle on that. It makes, even going through it yourself afterwards, when you timeline it, you think, shit, I missed that out. Oh crap, spoke too much there, too much coaching. It's so useful even going through your own calls, isn't it? Which is, and it's the first time I've done it. So, so yeah, it was a good exercise.
Yeah, amazing. So just, no coaching, refine those pillars, the transition. That if you just did that, a lot easier, and then just get more familiar with some of the financial scriptings and the pacing of objections that are in the training.
Yeah.
Which will be easy for you now. Yeah.
Perfect. Really appreciate that. Thank you, Dave.
Cool. All right.
Yeah, awesome job, Carl. And yeah, it's always easier in hindsight, like listening back to the calls, like I should have done this here, I should have done that here. So whenever you are, like I said, really just try to focus on taking like one big thing away that's going to move the needle for you on the next call. And just, taking it, step by step, improving that one thing at a time. So for you, I want you to leave with like that structure. But then as well, like I can tell you really care about your clients. Let that seep into your belief that, it's either they do it themselves or they do it with you, and they're going to be so much better in your hands. And because of that, you have the green light. It's not that you're taking them through the salesy pitch. You're just showing them a clear route to where they want to go. And because that, you can lead them with authenticity and have that little bit more certainty of, okay, here's pillar one, here's where we're going next, here's pillar two. And just kind of once again leading them with that bit more certainty. Because once again, you showed it at the end there, like with your guarantee. Once again, just kind of let that seep into the rest of your call there.
Yeah, got it. Brilliant. Cheers, Kyle.
That's fun.
Cheers, guys.